Yo, 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 y'all already know what time it is. It's talk time with the Don Nelly. And guess what? Today, you guys are only here with the Don because this story today, this story time, this podcast, it does not require my friends. Now, today is July 11th. Now, today I am going to get into part 3 of Envious Family. So, before I get started with the sponsors for today, let's first start off by me explaining to you guys that everything that's going on is current situations and scenarios that's actually like going on in my life currently right now. As of now, you guys will see that I do not have an Instagram or a Facebook. All of my Instagrams and all of my Facebooks have been taken down, business wise and personal wise. And this is why, like today's who's sponsoring the podcast is very, very important. Now, I always tend to like be sponsored by Better Health because Better Health is like an online therapy platform, and everyone that's whether if you have a HSA or if you're low income, you can very much log on to betterhelp.com and get help with your mental health. However, when it comes to my Instagrams and my Facebooks, my mother, Saudia Perry, my sister, Shanika Perry, and her friend, Tiana Hughes, and my sister, Shahira Powell. Sorry about that, you guys. They had my Instagrams and Facebooks removed for child exploitation. Now, that sounds awful, whereas though it is awful. I am the one who's actually living through it. And for me to have not spoken to my siblings in over 2 years, and I have not spoken to my siblings in over 2 years behind their actions and me just fully cutting them off, my mother has been about 5 years. So when I tell you guys that even for me to have a part 3 to Envious Family has me very infuriated. However, you guys just sit back, pull out your popcorn, pull out your hookah, and just kick back and listen to the story time. Now, like I told you guys, today was brought to you by Positive Soul. Now, on Instagram, she could be found as positive__soul. Now, go check out Jacqueline. She has a lot of soul therapy journals. Now, within her soul therapy journals, you can basically focus on your self-love, healing, and reflection, and what self-love, healing, and reflection is supposed to look like without there being any form of trauma. Now, the book that I would recommend most is the journal book that's titled You Are That Girl. Now, You Are That Girl is a 21-day workout to up your level of self-confidence, self-love, and happiness. This book is important to me. And of course, I did the workouts there. And I explained to Jacqueline when she and I talked via email that I purchased a lot of her journal books because I was going to like you know how like when you're an entrepreneur and you have to like look and see how others may run their business or how others may do things. Now, when it comes to me, I can look up a lot of things, of course, because everything this day is YouTube based, is online based, is Google based. Like, however, when you're trying to build a business, whether if you're trying to build a platform or you're trying to build a community, you need to like get ideas of other people who did it the exact same way or slightly different so that you can know like your starting points and where to go, what not to do, like the things to do. So it's always great to like bounce ideas off of other people. However, within You Are That Girl, that journal book takes you through 21 days, and on each day, like let's say for example, I believe day 7 is like setting your boundaries. She gives like a slight backstory as in what it means to healthy set your boundaries without trauma being into play. And I just feel like it's important because when it comes to me and the current events that's going on right now in my life, I like, for me not to have verbally said anything to my siblings. Now, full transparency, I may have cracked jokes, like, when they were like trying to fight and everything like that. But as a normal, rational human, cracking jokes does not pertain to physically trying to assault someone, like cyberbullying, none of those actions. Faking PFAs to try to ruin my life. Yes. If you are listening still to this point, when I say faking PFAs, yes, it is. However, we're going to dive in deep to Envious Family Part 3. Now, in Part 1 and Part 2, I read and I went through the events of Shahira Powell's PFA, Saudia Piri PFA. Now, the main concept and focus of today's episode is to provide a deeper dive into why do women think it's okay when they're jealous of someone, rather than working on your traumas, because that would be like the rightful thing to do. Dang, I'm going through this right now. I don't feel as confident. I don't feel like, I'm accomplishing enough in life. Let me work on the things that are bothering me. This is why I always start off with a quote. I always say your projection of me is a reflection of you. Any given time, someone goes extremely overboard. And when I say extremely overboard, you guys are going to hear the detail within this episode, and you guys are going to be like, how are you remaining sane? However, continue to stay in there and, we'll get there. But today I wanted to purely just focus on mental health, because at the end of the day, if you envy someone so bad that it's turning into stalking behavior, it's turning into like criminal harassment, but because these 3 women, minus Tayana, however, I am going to get in to the fact of how Tayana was outside of the courthouse trying to physically assault me. And again, in the city of Philadelphia, nothing was done. And it's sad that nothing was done, but the women that went and got the PFAs were right along with her trying to fight. So again, this is why I said domestic violence awareness advocates, you guys need to take a listen to, because when there's women out there like this, these form of women take the necessary resources away from people who are actually going through domestic violence. And it's simply just because they are dealing with jealousy and envy and past traumas that they do not know how to work through. So let's jump on in. Topic 1 is Shaneka's PFA order. Now, originally in the beginning, I expressed to you guys on episode 1 that Shaneka PFA order stated that I was online. I threatened to shoot her with a gun. I was online. I was flashing my guns. Along with flashing my guns, I consulted her husband, and I gave him her address. And when I gave him her address, he started stalking and harassing her too. This is what was in Shaneka's PFA. Along with me doing that, she mentioned in her original PFA that, she is a domestic violence victim, that, she's in fear of her life because I threatened to kill her. However, jumping to, I would say Monday. Like I said, today is July 11th. Jumping to Monday, my attorney called me and she was like, "Hey, Chanel, do you realize you have a contempt order?" So I was like, "A contempt order?" I said, "No, I didn't receive anything." So of course she emailed me the contempt order. So when she emailed me the contempt order stated Shaneka stated within the contempt order, I called DHS on her every day since Mother's Day, and I've been conspiring with her husband, and he's been harassing her. This is what Shaneka went down to the courthouse and wrote. Mind you, if you guys follow me on Patreon, my Patreon link will be included within the episode as well. But on Patreon, I posted all the documents. Whereas though everything she stated was false from the beginning, the original statement was that I was outside chasing them with guns, and like, this is what was in Shahira PFA order. Not only was I chasing them with guns, I was posting guns. I was trying to kill them. So when I got the PFA orders, I told you guys I had just graduated college and I was just coming back from Chicago, and I noticed the order at my own home, at my old house. Now, there's going to be a lot of you that's listening, and you guys are going to be like, no fucking way. There's no way that your family is doing this. However, like, I cannot make this up to you when I say I've been cut my family off, and it's one of those things to whereas though when the environment has someone, the environment has them. And what I would say about that is typically drugs, hanging out with the wrong people. And for the most part, my siblings, Shahira and Shaneka, they're clearly experiencing a lot of trauma that they have not received help for yet. And it's not just with like the PFA order. There's other things that are in place that I was informed of that, just shows the continuous spiral out of control. However, today's episode is specifically geared towards Shaneka, so I will get into that on another episode. However, when my attorney sent the paperwork over, I said, call DHS every day. I said, yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, I'm about to be in Honduras in a week. I've been shopping, podcasting, just like any other content creator. For the most part, if someone trolls you, and this is like the gray area where people they cross the lines when it comes to trolling and harassing. Trolling is simply like, if someone calls you ugly, hey, you're ugly. Like, or at least if you're going to call me ugly, you should be pretty. Like, trolling is simply a joke. Trolling is not assaulting someone. Trolling is not, because I could not get the whole entire internet to hate her, let me report her social media pages for child exploitation. Like, trolling is not like, you continue to talk about like people's children online, but then when someone talk about like, just your everyday habitats, and I use habitats because the way and how they're acting, it reminds me of animals, to be honest. But the way and how you live on a day-by-day basis, the way and how you love yourself, like, your 7 pillars of like just your regular, like just everyday, like, okay, I love this about me. I would say since March, like I have been being seriously harassed, and because these women went falsifying, getting PFAs, I really have to just like sit back, and it's like, at first I was like making jokes about it because I'm like, yeah, it's no way, people who look like crackheads have the nerve to like, remotely come for me. However, jumping into yesterday, and you guys might want to keep up a bit because I spoke in terms of the contempt order, and I spoke in terms of to the original PFA. Now, let's scratch that. Let's not even jump into yesterday. Let's jump into the fact that my father, who is also Shaneka's father, my father told Shaneka plenty of times, hey, you need to stop it. And you need to stop it because you obtained your kids illegally. So my sister was like, oh no. And my sister, meaning Shaneka, I do not want anyone to get confused. So she was like, oh no, I had a court order from when I lived in Maryland. Mind you guys, when she lived in Maryland, I attend that court hearing as well. And to be honest, the only reason that Shaneka even won that court hearing is because Shaneka lied and got her husband, Will, arrested. She lied and said he tried to beat her up. Did he try to beat her up? I'm going to 110% tell you guys no. And this is how I know. Shaneka was living at my house at the time frame. And originally, like when all the chaos started with Shaneka's husband and Shaneka, I was the reason that Shaneka's husband got custody of his kids. And I was the reason that he got custody of his kids because by the time we went to court, like, you know, as a sibling, you try to support your sibling. However, when we got to court, I simply just felt bad. And I hate that when you're from the African American community, people will rather see their kids doing horrible than to own up that they have a drug issue. And that Shaneka does have. She has a drug issue. So when we originally went to court at first, it was like I was so tired of the back and forth. She would lie and get Will arrested. And I cannot make this up to you. Will was never lying to get her arrested. The things that Will was reporting, the things that Will was doing was simply the truth. Like, was she out here just being malicious? She was very much just being malicious. And I know after a while, like, even if you're trying to be supportive of a person, you're trying to help a person out, like, it just becomes too much and it gets you to a point to where as though, yeah, for my own peace, I'm going to do what I have to do. So if you guys remember when I read off that contempt order, the contempt order stated that I contacted her husband and me and her husband has been harassing her, calling DHS on her every day, and he's been harassing her and stalking her. I'm here to tell you guys that is a complete and utter lie. Once her husband noticed everything that was going on online, he did reach out to me because him, along with the state of Florida, they've been trying to serve Shaneka with court papers. Now, they've been trying to serve Shaneka with court papers because Shaneka illegally obtained her kids last year. Now, if you guys go on over to my Patreon, I will have those papers posted as well. Now, trying to work in coordinates with her husband in the state of Florida, along with the fact that I am aggressively being attacked by Shaneka at the current moment. And not only am I aggressively being attacked by Shaneka at the current moment, Shaneka is lying, getting PFAs. She lied, putting her husband in a PFA, whereas though he never made no form of contact with Shaneka, whereas though the same with myself. I never verbally stated anything to Shaneka. I never verbally stated anything to Saudia, nor Shahira, nor Tayana. This is the difference between trolling. When someone posts up something about you and you're tagging them in it, I made a joke. They just didn't like that over 1 million people laughed at the joke. So, you know, because over 1 million people laughed at the joke and called them hood boogies, they lied and got my page. Like, basically my page is like, it's looking like it's taken down, like it's disabled. However, like when I finally got in contact with someone from Instagram and Facebook, they basically was like, they have to investigate the allegations. Now, my whole thing is, this is what I stated, that it's wrong how they do things. Same way with the PFA. They were able to go downtown to get PFAs on me after I sent them cease and desist letters. Why did I send them cease and desist letters? Because they continued to give random people my old address trying to fight me because I did not want to help my siblings, Shaneka, Shahira, and my mother, Saudia, and Tayana, fight my brother's baby mom, Aaliyah. Mind you guys, at that time frame, still was not talking to them. On top of that, do I have a problem with Aaliyah? Absolutely not. And on top of that, Aaliyah has cancer. And at that current time frame, Aaliyah was on chemo. So imagine how I feel. I'm sitting back like I know how to troll and I'm online like making jokes, but for my own mental peace, and that's what, like, you know, I feel like a lot of the world need to sit back and like just look at things. Like when people are attacking you from multiple different ways for no reason, everyone has to sit back and, like, people do different things to soothe their own mental peace. Now, I express how I use to serve soul therapy journals, and I also go to counseling. However, their level of harassment with them being the ones that had lied and went and got PFAs surpassed me. So when her husband reached out to me, along with the state of Florida, and they asked if I knew her contact information, I informed them that I did, because to lie on a PFA in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, because you are simply just jealous because you're not thriving in life. And because you are not thriving in life and you're simply jealous, you lie on court documents to try and ruin my life. And for myself, like I said, on my podcast, Instagram page and Facebook page, I had over 50,000 followers and my pages were verified. So I'm not even sure as in how and why Meta allowed it. However, if you tap into this podcast, please email me or shoot me someone's information that can help me resolve this problem sooner than later. Now, jumping back to further unrevealing Shanika's lies. So when the state of Florida, along with Shanika's husband, William Byrd, when he sent the paperwork to me, they asked if I can help. And I said, absolutely, because at the end of the day, Shanika is harassing, stalking, and lying in the courts, trying to get me in trouble. So why not help him? Because for the most part, Shanika's been lying about being a domestic violence victim for years. And it's just despicable to the women that are out there that is actually going through domestic violence, because you have women like Shanika Perry, Shahira Powell, Saudia Perry, and Tayana Hughes, who are not domestic violence victims, but they falsify information because they are jealous and they do not know what to do to get to the next stage in life. So jumping into Williams' order. Williams' order was granted in Florida. This was around the time when she kidnapped the kids. It wasn't until I started going back and forth a lot on social media with them, and I was making jokes about them. However, Shanika has a current order to basically vacate the minor children. That order will be placed on my Patreon as well. However, the order was registered in the Philadelphia Family Court. However, William is afraid to get the kids from Shanika because, just like I stated, Shanika went and lied and filed a contempt order against me and added Will's name in there. So Will I don't have the time to go to jail because your sister is mentally unstable. Mind you, it says the respondent being Shanika Perry, has wrongfully removed the children from the state of Florida, wrongfully holding the children in the state of Pennsylvania, notwithstanding the children's traditional residence in the state of Florida. This is the most significant condition in order for the state of Florida to pursue federal paternal kidnapping charges. Mind you, this is for the two minor children that Shanika and Will has together. This is for Michaela and this is for William. Now, my thing is, with that order will be placed on my Patreon because it is very extensive. It goes into drastic detail about how they're basically pursuing federal charges. So if we jump into yesterday I had my order for contempt with Shanika, and guess who decides to come to court? The court hearing was not for the PFAs for my mother, nor was it for my sister, nor was it for Tayana. However, they all showed up to court. Now, of course, the sheriffs that was inside of the courthouse escorted Shahira and Tayana outside because they were being loud and aggressive. However, when it came to Shanika, Once my attorney stepped outside of the room, my attorney was like, yeah, so I already see what's going on here, and like this is too much. So it got the same date. It basically got combined with the original date of August 16th. Now, I was also instructed to, of course, not respond to none of the ignorance or anything like that. However, as I'm like, my attorney gave her time to leave as we got the new court date, and the new court date was, of course, August 16th. My attorney gave Shanika time to leave. Now, when my attorney gave Shanika time to leave, Shanika did not leave. Shanika stayed back with my mother, Saudia Perry. So my attorney said, okay, Chanel, come on, because they do not want to leave. So because they did not want to leave, I stepped outside of the attorney room. My children's father stepped outside of the attorney room with me as well, and my best friend, Christine, stepped outside of the attorney room. We went and got on the elevators. We proceeded to leave the family court building, and as we are leaving the family court building, Tayana Hughes is outside. Come fight me now, bitch. I'm about to run up on you and knock you the fuck out. So automatically, with my personality of me being a Gemini, and a lot of the times I refer to myself as a unicorn, I say, oh, look at that, paparazzi. So I started laughing because I found it very funny that, you guys are down here getting PFAs, and not only are you guys like not getting PFAs, but you guys are stating that you guys are the victims. So how could you possibly be a victim and you're outside of the courthouse saying you're going to run up? I say, oh, you must really want to go to jail then. So she continued to be loud. She continued to be aggressive. The cops, of course, escorted me because I'm like, well, if she has the PFA, why is she talking about running up on me? So she was like, oh, my friend got a PFA. I don't got no fucking PFA. So then what makes it worse is because I got escorted away, of course, my children's father, Steven, I love him so much. He tends to go by Estad. He basically, he did like all above and beyond to protect me, along with my friend as well. She's amazing. However, because Shanika, Shahira, Tayana, and Saudia continued to stay outside of the courthouse, and they started to try to aggressively attack my friend. Now, of course, at the end of the day, my friend was there for support of me, but my friend, at that point, she called her siblings and her dude. And it's crazy because even in this situation, there were a warm pool of cops coming outside. But again, these females went and got protection against abuse orders against me. Mind you, if everyone's out here is thriving adults and I'm out here trying to kill you and trying to assault you, why do you have federal charges for kidnapping in Florida? Not only do you have federal charges for kidnapping in Florida, if you were such this victim, why are you outside of the courthouse trying to fight with your friend? Mind you guys, if we jump in, of course I don't have a social media page, but you guys can follow me on TikTok. My TikTok is TTW Don Nelly. People started sending me posts that they were posting online. Yeah, I made that bitch leave from down here. Fuck out of here. We're gonna fuck this bitch up. Mind you, all from the mouths of people who went and got PFAs. Now, mind you, as a thriving adult, would I have ever been outside fighting anyone for no reason that looks like crackheads? And no, I'm not bullying, but if you're on my Patreon, you would see exactly why my attorney did not feel like that shit yesterday either, because they all showed up looking like they were on drugs. Whereas though I know my mother is and I know Shanika is, but it was just like a fucking shit show. So to be in court, having to hire attorney, not only did I have to hire attorney, I had to give back my gun license because lies were being made up and told on me. And not only was lies being made up and told on me about having to give up my gun, guess what else? Now, Saudia, Sheikh, and Shahira took to report my page for child sex pornography. Whereas though, here's the thing. We all know how it goes when someone makes claims against you. You normally get locked up first and then you have to prove your innocence. Why do I have to go through dealing with people who are jealous and just mad because they're not thriving adults? And even like sitting back, speaking to my attorneys, sitting back, like, trying to balance out my own peace of mind within the whole entire situation. Like, of course, like, I practice meditation. I practice self-love, everything. Like I stated, I'm going to Honduras in about 5 days. So, like, I'm practicing like, how to be a normal human being. Why is it that someone has to get hurt in order for law enforcement to step in? I feel like when people are out here and they're making these claims, law enforcement or the people at the courthouse, it should be a stronger requirement other than just someone saying someone did something and they truly didn't. Because a lot of the time when women are out here doing these things, they're simply just out here doing these things because they're jealous, because they don't have nothing. It takes a real low life of a person to show up in front of a federal building trying to fight someone else if you are a victim. Anyone who's listening, if you guys know of a civil attorney, like if you guys know of any like state representatives, but you guys really need to, especially in Philadelphia, you guys really need to prosecute these women that goes down to the court and falsify PFAs, protection against abuse orders. Because not only, like, if I was a man, I would be in jail fighting for my life. But the fact that I am a woman is still the same level of mental teardown. However, because like I do practice self-love, self-healing, I do know how to work through these things. These women should not be allowed to get away with it. So if you are out there and you are listening to this podcast, I'm going to end it off with, if you know a sheriff down in Florida, and there's people in Florida that listens to my podcast, if you know a sheriff that's down in Florida, if you know anyone who's willing to connect with me, all of my contact information is located on Buzzsprout, so that you could get in contact with me. If you know anyone that's in Philadelphia, why do people have to get hurt or killed in order for law enforcement and the courts to step in? These women, not only did they lie and say, I tried to assault them with a gun, or I was out here trying to harm them with a gun or harassing someone. I was home streaming online, and this is why these women worked extra hard to get my pages shut down. However, my own due diligence, I do live in a secure loft, so I do have video footage that I was home, but where does it have to stop at? Like, what's the end point if law enforcement is not there to help the actual victims that's actually victims? Like, not like, I don't like, and I don't even want to underlook at it, because like I did make jokes about them when they were like threatening to physically assault me. But as a human being, whether if you're a man, woman, from a Caucasian descent, African American descent, Asian descent, there's only so much anyone can take when they are criminally being stalked and harassed. So with that being said, this is the end of Envious Family Part 3. There will be a Part 4 and a Part 5, because I have reached out to Florida in order for Shaneka to get these criminal charges, because a stop has to come to women lying about being domestic violence victims when they're really out here being malicious, jealous, hateful creatures. Now, if you made it this far, tune in next time. Envious Family Part 4. Nelly is fitting to have a whole lot fucking more. So tap in. Click on that link space button too. Like, all the links is updated due to the other Instagrams being taken down, the other Facebooks being taken down. So tap in so you can follow. And again, thanks for listening. Tap in with Talk Time with the Nelly, and we're out.